Let's look at the Spurs week ahead and then see who Carter will be dunking against out of Los Angeles and Champagny. Should he have been invited to the three-point shootout?
You are Locked On Spurs, your daily San Antonio Spurs podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network. Your team every day.
Happy Monday. Welcome back to Locked On Spurs, radio on the Locked On NBA Network. I'm your host, Jeff Garcia, Spurs writer for Cans 5, San Antonio. Glad to have you all back. As always, thank y'all for making Locked On Spurs your first and only spot for all things silver and black. Be sure to subscribe wherever you get your favorite podcasts, iTunes, Spotify, Cans 5 Plus app, YouTube. Go subscribe right now. We definitely appreciate it. Thank you for making the Locked On Sports Podcast Network number one in this nation. Today's episode is brought to you by FanDuel. The winter games are on, and there's no better way to follow them than with betting on them than with FanDuel. FanDuel, play your game. What are we talking about today? We're going to be looking at the Spurs week ahead. Just two games. It'll be kind of brief. We'll be evaluating how those two games will look out for your silver and black. And then kind of get into an all-star theme for the rest of the show. We're going to be looking at Carter Bryant's dunk competition. The field is set. Who's he going to be going up against? And then the three-point shootout contest. Well, the contestants were announced. And should Champagny been involved? Should he got an invite? Especially over Damian Lillard? Yeah, Dame is going to be there. We're going to talk about that and more. Of course, y'all know it's Monday. Y'all know what that means, right? That's Mondays with Matt Guzman with Spurs on Sports Illustrated. Joining us via audio on this episode, but that's all right. See, he's got his nice smutty picture there for y'all to see. Matt, welcome back.
Thanks for having me again. Yeah, glad I can be here.
Yeah, as always, we appreciate you, Matt. Follow him on X, everybody, at MattGZMAN. Again, he's with Spurs on Sports Illustrated. And Matt, let's look at the week ahead. Just two games, light on the schedules because of the All-Star break later on this week. But a couple of pair of games that could be a little dicey for the Spurs. You got the Lakers first up, and then you got the Warriors, and more of them later. Maybe they're not the same Warriors the Spurs saw in San Antonio. But nevertheless, I think two good games to really, really give the Spurs a little bit of a test before the break. What do you think?
Absolutely. And I'll go ahead and say right off the bat, especially with the way the Spurs have been playing last few games, there's no reason that they shouldn't be able to get both of those, right. Between obviously Luka is going to be in doubt. Not sure exactly what his prognosis is with his injury. And then, Jimmy Butler's not going to be there for the Warriors, and they're still trying to gel with Porzingis, and they got rid of Buddy Hield. I mean, it might be a little weird one for the Warriors. And so, I think that the Spurs have the ability to go in there on the road and just knock it out. I think that's well within their capabilities.
Absolutely. The Spurs and Lakers are 1-1 this season. And right now, the Spurs actually have they're 2-1, against the Lakers. And they won 2 games straight, so they won the last 2 meetings. And convincingly, too. They dropped 132 points on the Lakers back on December 10th. Then 107 and holding them to under 100 points, which is uncommon in today's NBA, to 91 back on January 7th. But get ready, everybody. You gotta make sure your coffee makers are on because they're both late games. 9:30 for the Laker game at 9 o'clock for the Warriors game. So heads up on that. Man, I look up and down the tail of the tape here, and we'll start off with the Lakers Spurs matchup. I mean, the Spurs, you're right. They should get this game. They rank higher in points per game, 10th, 117.2 to the Lakers 13th, 116.4. When it comes to defense, Spurs are way better than the Lakers, 6th in the NBA, allowing 112 points, while the Lakers are 18th in the NBA, allowing 116.2. Where it could get interesting, though, is that the Lakers, they actually shoot the ball well, even though their roster has been kind of in shambles, players come in and out. As of this recording, they're first in the NBA in field goal percentage at nearly 50%, 49.9, while the Spurs are 11th at 47.3. But all in all, you figure with the rhythm the Spurs have, as Mitch Johnson said, they're playing with better pace of late. I think the Spurs should get the game in LA, right? What do you think?
Absolutely. And I've said this, I think, all year, specifically with the Lakers. It really feels like the Spurs are the better team. Obviously Victor fouled out in the last couple minutes of the last time that they went over to LA in November, and Champagny was 2 free throws away from going to overtime. But then they went and handled business when NBA Cup came around, and so I think, to your point, They're playing with pace. They're playing very together right now. You know, they're going to have momentum heading into that game, and I think that they're going to be able to knock it out.
Yeah. You know, again, you don't want to rest on your laurels. You don't want to say, okay, well, the Spurs are on the winning streak right now. You know, they're handling business. You know, just thumped the Mavericks in the last game. But again, I believe LeBron is still good to go. So, and then I believe Reeves is back. So, pair of guys the Spurs got to contend with as the season as the game starts tomorrow. I was looking at that Warriors game though. Again, that's a depleted roster. That's no Jimmy Butler, as you mentioned, to start this game. We're coming up because he's been out with injury. I mean, Draymond, for all he does well, you don't know how if his volatility is going to get to him. He could get thrown out, you know, just a loose cannon out there. But he definitely relishes the chance to defend and go up against Wemby. He doesn't back down. And we've seen smaller, bigger dudes kind of, not let's say hold their own, but close to holding their own against Wemby. Your thoughts?
For sure. And that's been an issue too. I mean, they've kind of had a tendency to play down at times, you know, so when you look at that roster, you enter that game thinking, oh yeah, you know, this one's going to be easy, right? But it's going to be about, you know, I sound like Mitch, honestly. It's how much he said the little thing is a Monday and all, you know, it's just going to be those things. You know, obviously they'll be on a back-to-back, so, you know, that could play a factor, you know, in that one. But I mean, yeah, it's really, that one is definitely the one I think that could sneak up on him, especially.
Yeah, exactly.
That Curry seems to be able to do whatever he wants against the Spurs this year.
Exactly. Now, playing in Oakland is a little tough for all NBA opponents. They're actually 17-9 at home as of this recording. The Golden State Warriors are, and in their last, let's see, their last 10 as of this recording, they're 4-6. So, yes, they're below 500, but nevertheless, you know, a game that I could definitely see the Spurs letting them creep up on them and a long night. And let's not forget, the last time these two teams met were back in San Antonio in a kind of a back-to-back situation. It was Warrior games in the Frost. And the Warriors took those two games because Steph Curry went nuclear. And that's what I'm worried about. But I got a guy that may be able to challenge, Steph Castle. He's been playing out of this world of late. Just nobody can handle him. And he's been very frank. He goes, he doesn't care who's in front of him. He's going to attack defensively and offensively. That's the matchup I'm looking forward to. Seeing how Castle plays against the Hall of Fame bound Steph Curry. Your thoughts?
Absolutely. And that's been since last year too. You know, I think there was a really nice game that he had against Curry, and it was one of the first times where it became pretty clear that Mitch is going to look to Castle to guard guys like Curry, to guard guys like Luka Doncic, you know. And so, I mean, I still honestly can't believe the game that he had, 40-point triple-double. I mean, that was just crazy. Proof of what he's able to do, what he's capable of, right? But obviously we don't see that from him too often. I mean, but yeah, so especially if, you know, Luka's going to be out and he can turn his defensive attention to another star and help slow them down. I mean, that's a game that they can definitely pick off.
Yeah, interesting enough, though, looking at the game ahead, again, as of this recording, the Warriors are actually 6th in defensive rating at 113.7. So they play a little modicum of defense here. Offense, they're kind of in the middle of the pack, 115.9 offensive rating. So that's the game that I'm really worried about. I think that Warriors game could sneak up on them. You're right. It's on a back-to-back situation. It's LA and then Oakland. And I wouldn't say tough opponents, but veteran opponents, teams with players that have been there, done that, LeBron, Curry, Draymond. So we'll see if that experience will creep up on the Spurs that we saw in those first two games versus the Warriors, where their experience in tight games won out. Hopefully youth will be served. All right, quick 2 games ahead for the Spurs. Hopefully the Spurs will be 2-0. When we get back, let's talk about some all-star stuff, right? Let's look at Carter Bryant's dunk competition. Yeah, the field is set. And Julian Champagnie, should he have been invited to the NBA three-point shootout? We're going to do that and more right here on Locked On Spurs. Shoot your shot on Prize Picks and get $50 instantly in lineups when you play your first $5. That's right. Prize Picks is giving you $50 in lineups when you sign up and play your first $5 lineup. Prize Picks makes every dunk, every dime, every board that much more exciting It's America's #1 app for sports picks. Price Picks is simple to play. You just pick more or less on 2 to 6 player stat projections, and if your picks are right, you can cash in. You can choose from basketball, baseball, hockey, soccer, UFC, so much more. Plus, it got features like early payouts and flex pay, so you basically got options while the games are still happening. You'll download the app. You'll be surprised how easy it is to use to get started. It's going to take a couple minutes, and then you're going to build your first lineup. You can even make lineups around players that you already follow, picking more or less on points and assists. Honestly, makes every position way more fun to watch. It's available in all 50 states. Just easy for just about anyone to jump in, and you'll love the social feature where you can see what other people are playing, copy lineups with one click. It's a cool way to learn and build better picks. Download the Price Picks app today. Use code LOCKEDONNBA to get $50 in lineups and play your first $5 lineup. That's code LOCKEDONNBA to get $50 in lineups after you play your first $5 lineup. Price Picks, it's good to be right. No, Matt. I did not get invited to the dunk contest. I wish I did. I don't have hops, though. I don't have hops.
Hey, I've seen you at the Frostbank Center before the games. I mean, you could have.
I could have, yeah. My 1.5 inch vertical.
Or maybe you can ask Carter. Maybe you can ask Carter if you can be the guy he jumps over.
That wouldn't be easy. That'd be like him just skipping over me. We are back, everybody, right here on Locked On Spurs, joined by Matt Guzman. It's Mondays with Matt right here on Locked On Spurs. He is with Spurs on Sports Illustrated. Follow my next at Matt GZM. And the field is set. We know who Carter Bryant will be going up against at the 2026 NBA All-Star Dunk Contest. And not heavily filled with big names like back in the day. For those that are old like me, when your Michael Jordans would compete, Sean Kemps would compete. Yeah, those days are gone. Right now, there's a lot of guys that, aren't up there in star power, but could bring some entertainment. All right, so who is Carter Bryant going up against? He'll be facing Jackson Hayes of the Los Angeles Lakers, Keshad Johnson of Miami Heat, and Jace Richardson, Orlando Magic guy. So there is the field right there. I look at the competition right here. I know you have some comments about Jackson Hayes, but I got Jace Richardson as maybe Carter Bryant's stiff competition. But when I look at the field, this is Carter Bryant's. I don't see how he can fumble this. The only way he can fumble this is what Stephon Castle has warned him against. Do not miss your first dunk. It feels to me if you miss your first dunk, it just kind of sucks the air out of the whole arena. Like, we know what you're going to do. All right, get it over with. I think that's the key, not just for Carter, but for the rest of the field. They got to knock down that first dunk. But for me, I'm going to go with Jace Richardson Magic as probably the guy that gives Carter Bryant the most run. But you have some thoughts about Jackson Hayes.
Yeah, I was a little perplexed by Jackson Hayes because I for one didn't know he had an East Bay in his bag, and then all of a sudden he pulls it out in the middle of the game and gets the dunk contest invite. Maybe it was a one dunk wonder. I don't know, but I mean, I like what you said earlier. I really do think that, Carter can really really jump, and I think that we can only hope that the yips don't come back for him, right? But assuming they don't, right, he can get up and make things look really impressive. But I mean, definitely not missing the first dunk. I think it's one of the weirder rules because they're supposed to judge you fairly, but I mean, we all know that it's like they're gonna miss it twice in a row and then they finally hit it. You're not gonna get as excited about it, Yeah. So, but I do think Jackson Hayes maybe he surprises me a little bit and he pulls some stuff out that I haven't seen.
Yeah, and he has the length, he has the height. I guess he's the hometown guy. I know it's in the Clippers gym, but it is an LA guy. Maybe he might have the hometown edge there. Kind of a funny character, lost his cool and got into some fracas with the mascot there.
That was really funny.
Yeah, exactly. But look at the field, Bryant, 6'6". You look at Jace Richardson, 6'1" guard. That's see those smaller guards that worry me because the leaping ability they got, and it looks like they have more air because of the small amount. I wish I was 6'1", but I mean 6'1" in NBA standards like standard outside. Right. Hayes a 7-footer though. That might be interesting. While Keshad Johnson is 6'6" forward. Oh man, this is going to be tough. But I got Carter Bryant winning it. He's shown in-game dunks. He definitely has the leaping ability. If you haven't seen how high Carter can get, go look at it. Go look at YouTube videos. Not exaggerating whatsoever. I mean, he can leap. And he's even said that he thinks he can touch the top of the backboard. So
I would believe him.
Yeah, I would believe him too. And again, Steph Castle also told everybody recently after the game versus Dallas in San Antonio that he's seen some of the dunks already. Obviously, he's going to hype his guy up. And, he said they're pretty impressive, but do not expect Carter Bryant to jump over Stephon Castle. Castle did say that that's not in the repertoire for Carter. So keep that in mind. And you know what? Excuse me. I still got a bone to pick with Carter Bryant because I've been encouraging him to do the dunk contest. I think I bothered him twice in the locker room. The first time just bluntly just said like, hey, are you going to try to participate in the dunk contest? And he told me, nah, I don't think I'm ready. Then it was like weeks later, I brought it up again. I don't think he heard me, or maybe he was trying to ignore me because maybe he already knew that he was going to be in it. He didn't want to let the cat out of the bag. But nevertheless, I saw it a mile even before the All-Star break was in the horizon. The few games that I saw Carter Bryant jumping for rebounds, going for blocks, just attempting blocks, you just see it, just the length, the explosion, and everything. And even during Media Day 2025, I was joking around with him and said, like, hey, do you think you can ever get one on Wemby, like dunk on him? He said he wants to try. And I would believe it. I would not be surprised if it comes out down the road that during a practice that Carter got Wemby. Because, I mean, for a young kid, his body's already strong. He's a strong dude. I shook his hand, nearly crushed my hand, and I worked out, everybody. And, I was like, ow, my hand. But I think this is Carter Bryant's to lose. The only way he can choke this is if he chokes his dunks. That's it, and give me some creativity. Just some creativity. Look, no knock on Castle last year. And Castle brought the power. He brought a lot of power dunks, but he had a splash of creativity. I think Carter can give you power dunks and creativity. What do you think?
I think so too.
Yeah.
One of the first dunks that comes to mind of this new era dunk competition, was Anthony Simons whenever he did it, maybe 4 years ago. And I remember that he had like a little suction cup to the backboard and he had two balls and he jumped up and he grabbed both and dunked them both. And I was like, oh, that was actually, I hadn't seen that.
I remember that. Yeah.
So I'd be curious if Carter leans toward the acrobatics in the air versus props, but as long like anything is better than what Jaylen Brown gave us a couple of years ago. That I was not a fan of that one, but I mean, it's very clear that he has the athleticism. Even at Summer League, Carter Bryant was already jumping out at the gym, and he's really impressive. So I would like to see him show some of that, and hopefully, if people didn't know who he was now, they might if he puts up a good showing in the dunk contest.
Absolutely. I think historically for the Spurs, there's never been that many dunkers invited to this. I think Carter Bryant joins Steph Castle, Cadillac Anderson.
Wow.
Sean Elliott was invited in the late 90s, but he couldn't do it. I don't know if it was an injury situation or maybe he just kind of backed out the last minute, but Sean Elliott was on deck to do it. He could have been one. And I believe Johnny Dawkins was another invite way back in the early 90s. But that's it. There's really haven't been that many Spurs dunkers that have been invited. But we got back-to-back years, last year with Castle, this year with Carter. Hopefully, finally, the Spurs can break through and bring that dunk title to San Antonio because they brought the Rising Stars title. Well, not that one. What's the other one? The Shooting Stars. Excuse me. The Shooting Stars title to San Antonio. That was Robinson, Duncan, Becky Hammond. Obviously, Bellinelli. He won the 3-point shootout, the first Spur ever to do it. He won it, but no Spurs ever won the dunk contest. You think history would be made for the Spurs during All-Star weekend, Matt? What do you think?
I think so.
I
think Carter can do it.
Look at that. That's not Carter Bryant. That's actually Matt Guzman in the Spurs uniform right there.
Jeff, what would you do if you found out I could dunk?
I tell you to do it so I can videotape it and then like put it out there and get it viral.
That'd be something.
Yeah,
that does look a lot like me, though. You're right.
Well, you really can't dunk, or you just messing with me?
Oh no, not at all.
No,
I can shoot it a little bit. I can shoot it a little bit. But...
I remember one time in high school, I think we're just doing like a pickup game after school, and I remember I was just like feeling it, and I remember jumping in. For me, I remember feeling the back of my head hit the net, and I was like, "Oh my god, I got hops," and I can never do it again.
The one-time thing.
Of course, I was just like a freaking pencil back then in high school. And so times have changed. Weight has been put on and whatnot. But no, I agree with you, Matt. I think this is Carter's contest to win. But I think that guy out of Orlando, he might be the one to spoil the fun for San Antonio. We'll see what happens in just a few short days. We're not done talking Spurs at the All-Star break. When we get back, the three-point shootout contestants. Yeah, the field has been announced, but Julian Champagnie was left off the list. Should he have made it? So about that coming up next right here on Locked On Spurs. The Winter Games are officially here, and if you're anything like us, you're locking in for events you want to get to see on the big stage every 4 years. And that's why following the Winter Games on FanDuel just makes sense. From medal counts to individual events, to finding your angle on the sports you care most about, FanDuel gives you more ways to stay connected on the action. The drama of curling machines that start slow and somehow get intense, fast, speed, ice skating, races between just decided by inches, hockey games that feel different right from the opening faceoff. Every niche event becomes much watch when you're fully locked into the competition. FanDuel keeps the entire Olympic experience engaging from start to finish. The Winter Games are on, and there's no better way to follow them than with FanDuel. FanDuel, play your game. Let's talk about Indeed. Hiring isn't just about finding someone willing to take the job. It's about finding the right person with the right background who can actually help your business moving forward. If you want candidates who match what you're looking for, Indeed Sponsored Jobs is the move. Because instead of hoping the right person stumbles across your post, Indeed helps you match with quality candidates by boosting your job listing to the people who fit your specific criteria, like skills, certifications, and location. If I'm hiring, I wouldn't want just someone who can help. I want someone with real experience who can jump right in. That's what I like about Indeed. You can get specific and target exactly what you need. It saves time because you're spending less energy sorting through mismatches. And with sponsored jobs, your post gets seen by candidates who are actually a fit. And here's a stat that says it all. In the minute I've been talking to you, companies like yours made 27 hires on Indeed, according to Indeed data worldwide. So if you're hiring, spend less time searching and more time interviewing candidates who check all your boxes with Indeed Sponsored Jobs. Listeners of the show will get a $75 sponsored job credit to help your job on the premium status it deserves at Indeed.com/podcast. That's Indeed.com/podcast. Terms and conditions apply. Hiring, do it the right way with Indeed. During the break, not only did Matt dunk on me, he also nailed 5 3-pointers in a row, and one of them was blindfolded. How do you do it, Matt?
I just, I've been working with the guard whisperer over the break.
in that 2-minute break right there, yeah. That's how much you have right now.
He's really helpful.
Yeah, he's very super helpful. He is Matt Guzman with Spurs on Sports Illustrated. Follow him on X at MattGZMEN. Hey, we're still talking about your Spurs. And one player who is not going to All-Star break weekends out in LA is Julian Champagnie. You're probably like, what do you mean Julian Champagnie? Well, the three-point shootout. Yeah, the NBA announced the field for the yearly shootout from Beyond the Arc. This year's invitees are Devin Booker, Con Knipple, Tyrese Maxey, Donovan Mitchell, Jamal Murray, Bobby Portis, Norman Powell, and Damian Lillard. There you go. Guy who hasn't played at all this season got the invite. You would think a guy like Julian Champagnie, who's been hot from the 3 line, who on national TV is getting recognition for his 3-point shooting, would get out there. But no, they give the spot to Damian Lillard. There you have it. So, in general, before we look at kind of some stats here, I think he should have been invited. Definitely in place of Damian Lillard. There's the way Champagnie's been shooting this year is just insane. What do you think?
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
It's and you know what? All the all-star stuff is obviously strange because everybody's too good to go do the dunk contest, but they only seem to want big names for the 3-point contest. I mean, Julian Champagnie deserved it just about as much as anybody else in the any other sharpshooter in the league. You know, he's proven very valuable for the Spurs this year, and I definitely would have liked to see him out there. I know he would have loved that.
Oh, yeah.
You know, but I don't know. I don't know what you got to do. Yeah, I don't know.
I've been beating that drum since early this season that Champagnie should go to the 3-point shootout, and my hopes were dashed when the NBA announced it recently. All right, so let's have some fun. Let's go percentage by percentage, just generic 3-point shooting percentage with Champagnie versus the field. All right, so we start off with Devin Booker. All right, so keep this in context. This is just overall stats. Okay, just overall stats. So overall, Julian shoots the ball better than Booker in their head-to-head meetings. 37%, Champagnie, 35% for Booker. Right there should be a little bit of a case for Champagnie to go. All right, fine. That's a good shooting percentage for Booker overall in their meetings. Okay, in their meetings, that's what they shoot. All right, so let's go to the next guy. All right, let's look at Maxey. All right, so we'll just do Julian Champagnie. And what does the results give us? Drum roll, please. In their head-to-head meetings, so they've overall in their careers, they met 3 times. It's close. Maxey shoots it 38%, while Champagnie, again, holding steady at 37%. So maybe there's a case for Maxey to take a spot over Champagnie. There is that. All right, let's keep on going. All right, so who we got? Yes, let's go with Donovan Mitchell. All right, now I'm going to look. This is all fresh for me, so I'm going to see how it comes up here. So we'll do Champagnie and Mitchell. And the results are, let's get the results. In their meetings against each other, so they met 6 times in their career. Champagnie, 37%. He's very consistent with a 37%. And Mitchell, 36%. So far, I'm okay with these 3 guys going ahead of Champagnie. What do you think? We'll go across the field with it.
Yeah, and it's not. There are definitely guys on that list that are they're good 3-point shooters. I get it. I don't know. I don't know if there's much else that Champagnie could be doing
right
to prove that he deserves to be there. And if not beating them, I mean, he's keeping pace with all 3 of the guys that you just named.
Yeah, he's keeping pace. Yeah, it's not lopsided. It's not like, oh well, yeah, clearly so and so was shooting well over 30%, 37% against in a chance and against Julian Champagnie here. Sorry, excuse me. All right, let's go Jamal Murray. All right. I think there's how many Jamal Murrays in the NBA? Hold on, let me get the right one. All right, here we go. All right, so Julian Champagnie, they and Jamal Murray have met 5 times in their career. And Champagnie, my goodness, 37%. He develops at 37%. And Jamal Murray, 38%. Again, close. So there you have it. All right, so 4 guys that we think that, all right, fine, NBA, you made your case. Let's go to Bobby Portis. All right, let's see how that shapes out. Let me guess. 37% for Champagnie against Bobby Portis. Let's see. Let's find out, everybody. Drum roll. And we got it right here. So they've met 5 times in their career. 37% for Champagnie. Bobby Portis in the 5 meetings versus Julian Champagnie, 38%. Interesting. All right. And then let's do Norman Powell. Should we even do Damian Lillard? I don't know. He's next. All right. Let's do Norman Powell. Powell has met Champagnie 6 times in his career, and he's shooting 39% in those games versus Julian. and Julian again at 37% as well. All right, so maybe the NBA got it right, but maybe they didn't get it right when it comes to this guy, which is Damian Lillard. Now, we all know Damian can play. He's a baller. He's likely going to the Hall of Fame. Would not be surprised, if that does happen. But, we'll put up his numbers right now. But if you look at the situation, he hasn't played a game at all in the league this year, at all. All right, Damian Lillard, 37% to Champagny's 37%. So there you have it. So Julian's kind of holding steady versus all these guys. Slight percentage points some of the players do have on Champagny. But there's a case that Julian should be in there and not Damian. What do you think?
Absolutely. And I get it. It's a legacy thing. Sure. He's one of the best shooters, obviously. But, are we hinting at a retirement here? Like he hasn't played all year. Why are we making it a big deal that, we got Damian Lillard who hasn't played this year? I don't know. I don't know what the thought process was behind that, but I mean, no doubt that he's a good shooter. I wouldn't be surprised if Damian ends up winning it.
Yeah. Can you imagine that? Guy hasn't played at all. Comes in and wins that.
It was kind of like Mac McClung. He didn't play last year, and they called him into the dunk contest.
That's a good point there. But you're right. It is definitely a legacy thing. This is his last hurrah. Let him go show out against the fans one more time. Fine. But, I notice time I see Julian, I got to ask him what is his thoughts about not getting the invite. You would think that he met the criteria. Don't believe me. I actually spoke to Harrison Barnes about this earlier this season, Matt.
Yeah.
And remember how he started the season just hot, right? Scorching hot from the 3-point line. He's cleared off since. But just messing with him, I go like, hey, 3-point shootout in the horizon? And he laughed. He said, probably not. But he tells me, he goes, there was 1 year, he said he thought he qualified. He honestly thought he was going to get the invite. And he was going to go. And then he tells me, he goes, but when I didn't get the invite, he goes, I was left scratching my head. I didn't know what the criteria was. So I'd love to know what the criteria is. Is it, you got to be 38% or more to get in? Well, then in that case, okay, fine. Julian doesn't get invited. But I mean, the shooting that Julian has put on this year from deep. And look, when he had his struggles, it was that period of time where the Spurs collectively were struggling. It wasn't just him. Everybody was shooting just horribly. It was right after Christmas. Nobody could find the end of the bucket if they were away from the paint. So it wasn't just him. But he has been, for his standards, consistent from the arc. What do you think?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. I mean, we've said it so many times already this season, like you were mentioning earlier. Mm-hmm. I've been a huge proponent of Julian since he arrived. I mean, he played 19 games the year before Victor showed up, and even then, he had little flashes of, this guy can score. Mm-hmm. And since then, he's just continued to grow into his role. Not to mention, his contract is getting better with every game that he plays because he's a cheap dude. He's going to have to get paid, but right now, the Spurs get him for next to nothing, which, he's going to deserve that next contract coming his way. Yeah. He's easily solidified himself, as one of the core key pieces of this group, for a team that has needed 3-point shooting for a long time. And I mean, you can't really ask for much more than that.
Yeah, he's averaging about 6.6 3 attempts so far this season. He's making about 3 of those a game, which is really, really good because it's something the Spurs desperately need, just floor spreaders. He is one of their rare floor spreaders that they have. And, I mean, you look at some of the stats recently, let's go to the last 5 games. He's shooting 42% from the 3 line heading into that game versus LA tomorrow night. 42% of the last 5 from the 3-point line. He's taking about 5 and he's making about 2 a game in that span. You go a little deeper, just go to the last 10 games, still 41% shooting from the 3 line. So he's on fire. And look at this right now. He's up in the last 10 games, he's a plus 9.1 for the Spurs. In the last 5 games, he's a plus 5.8. So he makes things happen on that court. Man, it's a shame. I really wanted the Spurs to have representation in all the major events because you'll have dunk contest, check. the main event with Wemby, check. You have the Rising Stars Challenge with Harper and Castle, so check. And then I think it's a Carter dunk contest. So
And the shooting star with Dylan.
thank you. Shooting Stars with Dylan and his family there. So man, yeah, it would have been a perfect appearance suite for the Spurs. And by the way, shout out to David Jones Garcia. What an unfortunate thing happened to him. Required surgery on an ankle, right ankle, that he suffered during an Austin Spurs game. He was going to be representing the Austin Spurs in LA as far as Team Austin. Literally, the team was named after the Austin Spurs, Team Austin, and he is out. He's recovering. He shared on social media a picture of him and good spirits, thumbs up, a little bit of a prayer that he wrote on his post there. But such a shame, man. David Jones Garcia, he was, a fan favorite, especially coming out of the Summer League match.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Definitely a tough hit. I had just finished talking to the Austin Spurs Jacob Chance coach about, him getting that honor, a chance to represent them. And he said the whole Austin team was around him and very, very happy for him. So obviously, you hope that his recovery goes well, because that guy is really good.
And by the way, an underappreciated locker room guy. I've been in that locker room, and my God, you think Keldon has energy? David Jones has energy too. They are very energetic in that locker room. But shout out David Jones Garcia. But there you have it. What do y'all think? Do y'all think that Julian got snubbed? Should he have been invited to the 3-point shootout? What do you think about the field that Carter Bryant's going to go up against in the dunk contest? Is it all him? Is his to lose, or no? Maybe somebody else could get him. And what do you think about the Spurs a week ahead? Just 2 games, but 2 big games as well. Let us know on X, me at Jeff G Spurs on, Matt at Matt GZ. Man, again, he's with Spurs on Sports Illustrated. Matt, tell us what you got going over there.
Yeah, I've got something coming soon on Stanley Amule, the 2-way guard from San Antonio. So I'll have that, but more importantly, I guess in other exciting news, I will be basically traveling with the Spurs on their road trip. I'll be in LA for All-Star break, and then Austin for the 35 games, and then they're doing a mini road trip in New York too, so you can look forward to all of that.
You're not going to every game in the All-Star. The Fiesta, the road trip is sneaky, right?
No, I'm missing the 2 games against the Pistons and the Raptors before they head off to New York, but I'll be there for the major checkpoints.
Either way, you got to follow Matt on X at Matt GZ and me to see what the Spurs are doing on the road trip. Should be fun. Matt, be careful out there. Have fun at the All-Star break. And enjoy it, man. Bring all that good stuff that you can bring. Matt, thank you again for joining us here on Locked On Spurs. Everybody else, we thank you all for making Locked On Spurs your first listen each and every day. Free and available wherever you get podcasts. You know what to do. Subscribe. iTunes, Spotify, Kens 5 Plus app, YouTube. Go do that right now. Thank you for making the Locked On Spurs network #1 in this nation. Yeah, good job to all. And don't forget to join the NBA Everydayer Club. So you might be thinking, okay, what is that? Well, basically, you get an ad-free Locked On Spurs, right? You get members-only Discord access to chat about the Silver and Black with other friends and family and whoever you invite or whoever's there. Go check it out right now. You want to go to lockedonpodcast.com/Everydayer Club. There you can sign up. Go have some fun, all right? All right. So, we'll be back tomorrow as the Spurs season continues. Still chasing a guest. We'll see who joins for tomorrow. But for Matt Guzman, I am Jeff Garcia. We're going to put a lock on this episode of Locked On